Good evening, homeowners on Zoom and also in our audience. My name is Renee Osborne, and I have the honor of being the current president of the board. Together with Angel Lopez. Oh, I was going to say, I don't see him. There he is. Angel Lopez is our current secretary, and we're going to be hosting this event tonight. This Meet the Candidate is part of the 2023 annual election for the Board of Directors to help voters make informed decisions regarding the candidates who are currently running for this election. Our hope is over the course of the program, you'll learn more about the candidates, what they stand for, how they may impact the community. I want to let you know that our election is scheduled for Thursday, February 16th. So it's coming up very, very quickly. It will be held 6 o'clock here at the clubhouse. We will also be doing a virtual session on Zoom for those members who prefer that. For more information about the annual election, or actually anything about the ranch, please go to www.oursunnymeadranch.com and /annual-election. Otherwise, you'll see it along the top nav there. Our audience, we don't have many people here present, but I do see we have people online, so thank you for that. This is being presented virtually. This is our hybrid. Hopefully, we're going to have a better experience than the last one. The cameras are in front of each of the candidates, and this is being broadcast. We hope to put it up on our YouTube channel as well. So for folks in the audience, if you would please make sure your phones are muted and they don't beep. We ask that you treat all of the candidates fairly and remain quiet throughout the forum. No clapping, cheering, jeering, or calling out. Please reserve your feedback until the candidate has made their closing statements, in which case then you can show them all the love you'd like. Homeowner questions have been submitted to our general manager. Candidates have not been provided the questions in advance of the session. So if you don't hear your exact question, it may be combined with a similar question, or just based on the overall time restrictions of the event, we might not have time for it. I think the last session we ended up having 6 questions and a couple of lightning rounds to fill out the full 1 hour, 30 minutes. As I mentioned earlier, this event is being recorded and will be made available on the association's YouTube channel. So if you go to YouTube, you can search the @ Sunny Mead Ranch PCA, and you'll find our channel. I'm still working on getting the other video recording uploaded there. So your participation in this event acknowledges, this is for the board here and all of the candidates, that their participation in the event acknowledges their consent in the recording and the posting of the event. So at this time, I'd like to introduce our slate of candidates, and we're going to do it alphabetically by last name. So we have Pat Escobar, and she is incumbent. Carolyn Goller, also an incumbent. Meryl Nunnally, Richard Puriday, and Robert Riddick, also an incumbent. And I have the honor of handing this over to my partner, Director Angel Lopez. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, and good evening, Sunny Mead Ranch. Good evening to homeowners and those of you joining us this evening for tonight's forum. Now let's get started. Keeping in mind the rules and processes just outlined, we will open this Meet the Candidates forum by starting with a 1-minute opening statement from each of the candidates, beginning with Director Escobar.
Good evening, homeowners. Good evening, homeowners. Glad that we have some of you here and some on. Glad that we have you guys here and the ones on Zoom. Thank you for listening in. I'm running for re-election to the board. I enjoy being on the board. I love to volunteer, and I hope I get re-elected. I think most of you know me, and you know that I'm out there, and I will be a part of this HOA. And all I want is the best for our community and harmony and peace. And that's what I'm working for. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Escobar. And the next 1 minute opening statement will be from Director Goller.
Good evening, everyone, here and at home, or wherever you are on Zoom. So Carolyn Goller is my name, as I've been introduced, and I've been a homeowner for 26 years. I've been actively involved with this HOA for the last 10 years or more. I've been on the Activities Committee, the Architectural Committee. I currently am on the Architectural Committee, and I run the yoga club just to try and keep everybody in shape mentally and physically here. I have a 30-year background in business, and I have adequate education to fulfill this role. I've taken HOA HOA preparation courses I ran 2 years ago and did quite well. So hopefully some of you see me around, and if you read my bio, that's part of the election packet. I hope you agree that I belong on this board and that you give me your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. The next 1 minute opening statement is from Mr. Nunnally.
Good evening. My name is Merrill Nunnally, spelled N-U-N-A-L-L-Y. I am new to the board. I have a lot to learn, which obviously, I welcome everybody. And I have an open policy into anything, and I plan on being transparent. And I want to thank everybody who's already cast their votes already. Is appreciative that everybody get involved with the voting process. I've lived in the association for the last 21 years, and I'm looking forward to your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, the next 1 minute opening statement is from Mr. Purity.
My name's Richard Purity. I've lived in the ranch for 25 years. I've been involved with the ranch, open forums going back many years. I want to run on the board because I think we need new faces on the board. It's the same old thing all the time. And we want to get, Marilyn and I want to get on the board to make some changes. I was on the Architectural Committee. I think it was about 9 months. I'm not really sure. I'm looking forward to be on the board to answer ranchers' questions, and I'm fully transparent. No, I'm sorry. Did you that bell ringing? Oh, okay. Anyway, if on being the board, you can vet me and look into my background. And that's the way it should be when you're handling $5 million every year. Go through the budget line by line.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry. I think when your bells are going off, my time is up. Or okay, that's it then.
Thank you. And for the 1 minute opening statement, Director Riddick.
Yes, good morning. Good evening, everyone. And first of all, thank you for showing up this evening to participate in this event. And I just want to let you know that you're just as important as we are, because you're the ones that are going to be making the decisions on who you vote for, hopefully based on how we present ourselves tonight and how we presented ourselves before. Myself, I've been a resident of Sunnymead Ranch since 1992, going on 31 years now. I joined the board in 2008. I was elected to the board in 2008. I've been serving since then, and I've pretty much filled every position on the board, as well as all of the committees. Was responsible originally when I came on the board of revitalizing the Activities Committee. It was called the Recreation and Activities Committee then, but we consolidated that and made it one committee. Was responsible for creating the Bylaws Committee, which was to address all of the necessary changes that we needed to update our governing documents, as well as all the other committees that we've had over the years. And, oh, got it.
Thank you to all the candidates for your 1 minute opening statement. We now turn to the Q&A portion, the questions and answers. And as a reminder, all the candidates, you will be allowed 2 minutes to answer each question. Question number one. For question number one, we will cover the topic of liability. The board has talked about liability and how the board of directors must protect the association. What types of liabilities are they talking about? How and why is it important to me as a homeowner? Director Escobar, your 2 minutes, please.
When we talk about liabilities have to do with how much it's going to cost each and every one of us if something goes wrong. We have to make sure that everything is safe in place. We have to make sure that our signs are posted, rules are posted so that people know and understand and can read them clearly. And right now, our insurance is at an all-time high because we've had so many different claims. We're trying to eliminate the claims as much as possible by putting up more signs, bringing people into compliance as far as what you can and can't do with and not bring skateboards or bikes on the property. Make sure that everything is in working condition, operating properly. And we have new boats coming in already here for the summer. We have to make sure all of our equipment is running properly so that there's nothing that fails and causes any kind of accidents or injuries to any of our homeowners. This is a priority of the board, working on protecting the homeowners. And that when they come here, we want them to have a beautiful place to be. We want them to feel safe and comfortable. I'm done.
Thank you. We now turn to the next topic of commitment. Being an active member of the board of directors is time consuming. As an indicator of your level of commitment, for your 2 minutes, Director Golder, as the incumbent, please describe how many times per week you conduct board business. This can include such things as meetings, special projects, training, etc.
I've never really thought about it to put a time on it, but being a board member, it's the meetings at least twice a week, but there's a lot that goes on between those meetings, and that's being familiar with what issues are going to come up that we will be dealing with in future board meetings, the follow-up that's required of what was discussed at a board meeting. Also on the architectural committee, there is a time that takes place there. We're revising the architectural guidelines as a project that takes a lot of time, and just the twice a month meetings that we do have for architectural committee. It also require us to review the applications online and then go visit some of the sites that we need to see in person. So there is an obligation of time, and fortunately, being retired and I don't have children or grandchildren that depend on me on any regular basis. So I have the time and the dedication to give what I need to fulfill these roles. Thank you.
Thank you. We now turn to the next topic of transparency. I hear this a lot. We need transparency. Mr. Nunnally, in 2 minutes, as a new candidate, how do you feel about this statement, and specifically, what would you do differently?
I feel that transparency is key portion of being on the board and representing the association, and everything aspect of what we do, whether it be raising the fees, whether it be some project that we're not able to make happen. I believe that those things need to be actively made available to the homeowner association so they know how the direction in which the board is going. Without any kind of transparency, we act independent of the association, and they have questions. Now we've lost them, and there's frustration in regards to those things in which they have no knowledge of and no voice in. And I think transparency is key to a working relationship between the board and the membership.
Thank you. Now, for the next question, we turn to the topic of temperament. It seems that all of the candidates have strong viewpoints about how things should work. In my opinion, partisan politics should be left out of operating our HOA. If elected, Mr. Purity, in 2 minutes for your response, how will you work together to get things while dialing down the drama and not just fight all the time?
Well, we all have to get together. Politics is one thing that we can't do. We need to get to the subject and deal with it and leave politics out of it. We can disagree on a lot of things, but we have to come together and decide what's important, whether we agree on one thing or another. And politics has no role in this. And that's everyday life. We deal with that on certain issues, and it can't interrupt progress for the ranch. The ranchers need the best deal that they can get. And like I said, politics plays no role in this. Everybody has a different view outside of here on their political situation, and they don't drag it in here. It's not necessary. We all have run into that in our lives.
Thank you. Now for the next topic, we will cover budget. When thinking about adding new amenities to the ranch, what budgetary considerations do you or should you factor into making a decision to move forward? In 2 minutes, Director Riddick, please be specific.
Thank you, Andrew. I think that that's a very important consideration when you're talking about adding amenities. One of the things we hear a lot about, especially chatter on outside of the clubhouse here, is that we don't have enough amenities, and we need more amenities. We need this, we need that. You name it, and there's an amenity that somebody's wanting. The sad realization is that if we don't have the money set aside in our budget for those amenities, the question then becomes, how do we pay for it? So in this case, for instance, this year, we have a balanced budget that really allows for no amenities. Absolutely none, unless we rearrange, realign our current budget to accommodate that. Also, depending on the size of the amenities, it could be something that could be paid for out of operating expenses, or it may raise to the level of requiring it to be considered a capital expense, which then means it requires the full membership to participate in deciding whether we're going to purchase that or add that amenity. So a lot of considerations to be taken into consideration when you're talking about amenities. It's not just we want this, we want that, we're going to get this, we're going to get that. You've got to be able to justify how you're going to pay for it, no matter what that amenity is. And that's why it's so important that we control the budget. If we're going to add an amenity, it's got to be handled at the time we create the budget. You got to set aside the money at that time, make sure we've got it, and make sure that we still end up with a balanced budget. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. This is a corporation. It's supposed to be run like a business, and that's what we intend to do. Thank you.
Thank you. We come back to our first question of liability. The board has talked about liability and how the board of directors must protect the association. What types of liability are they talking about? How and why is it important to me as a homeowner? Director Goldler, your 2 minutes, please.
When we talk about liability, it encompasses so many things that typically we wouldn't think about, but something as simple as homeowners wanting a dog park, for example, that's a huge liability, and that's why there isn't a dog park and probably won't be. So there's issues like that that impact us. And as Director Escobar has said, we have taken a hit on our insurance premiums because of all of the lawsuits that have taken place, some of them not warranted. But liabilities can be anywhere from slip and falls, and we just have to be aware of them. Our porters have to be aware of making sure that precautions are taken so that people don't slip and fall here on the property. We can't prevent that everywhere, but even our contractor Lemus, there's some responsibilities on their part to make sure there aren't tripping hazards by trees uprooting, but being careful about liabilities in so many ways is so important, like adding new amenities, but more importantly, taking care of what we have and making sure that they're kept up to the standards that are required, such as the mulch level at the playground. All of these things come into play really daily. So liability is key, and all of us being cognizant of those risks. And if you see something that you feel is a liability, say something. Maybe it's something we hadn't thought about, but an example of reducing a liability was the handrail that was installed out of the jacuzzi a few months ago. For some reason, one of our directors voted against it, which didn't make sense to anybody. I wasn't on the board at that time, so I didn't vote on it. But we all have to be very, very careful about liability, just as we do in our own homes. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we return to commitment. On the question of commitment, being an active member of the board of directors is time consuming. As an indicator of your level of commitment, Director Escobar, as an incumbent, please describe how many times per week you conduct board business. This can include such things as meetings, special projects, training, etc. Your 2 minutes, please.
I'm on this 24/7, believe it or not. Trust me. I am here almost every day. I am asking questions every day. I am constantly looking at our bills every day. I'm constantly looking at our budget every day. I'm paying bills every day. I'm reading our minutes. I'm verifying that they're correct. I walk around the premises to see, make sure everything looks good. I'm always checking for leaks for the irrigation, so I have to call Bemis to let them know what's going on. When you volunteer for this position, it's 24/7, and you can ask my husband. I have my own room and I'm just in there all the time. I'm on the computer. And when it comes to the emails, oh my God, we get a million emails, every board member a day, it seems like.
Thank you. Next question for transparency. I hear this a lot. We need transparency. Mr. Purity, as a new candidate, how do you feel about this statement, and specifically, what would you do differently? Your 2 minutes, please.
Well, transparency is very important. I don't think in the ranch we've had that for many years. From the ranchers that I've talked to, they don't see transparency. That's why the open forum, you get 2 or 3 people that shows up when there is an open forum. Just like here, there's hardly anybody here. They don't log on in Zoom because they don't get transparency. They're afraid to come here. They've been kicked around long enough. They want change from the people that I've talked to. I've talked to a lot of ranchers. Some of them have thrown their ballots away. Some of them said, hey, I'll go back and I'll ask her another ballot. They don't get transparency. Transparency should be in everything. But like I say, no one shows up to the open forums. They're tired. They feel that their questions are never heard. They don't get transparency, 1 ounce of it. And that's, along with raising these fines 1,000%, gasoline's going back up. Everything, I got my Southern California gas bill, $337. My house is cold 24/7. We need transparency here where people could be welcome to come in and talk to management. We don't have that. That's it.
Thank you. Next, we return back to temperament. It seems that all the candidates have strong viewpoints about how things should work. In my opinion, partisan politics should be left out of operating our HOA. If re-elected, Director Riddick, how will you work together to get things while dialing down the drama and not just fight all the time?
Thank you for that, Angel. So, temperament. To me, temperament means how well you're engaged with your fellow board members. You can't come in the door mad. You can't come in the door with a chip on your shoulder. You can't come in the door as if you are the only one whose viewpoint counts. You can't come in the door argumentative. You can't come in the door not willing to be a team player. You can't come in the door leaving all of your ego at the door when you come in. And you got to be able to be a consensus builder. If you can't do any of those, then really there's no reason to run for the board or sit on the board. The board is about being a team player. It's really, that's all it's really all about. It's five individuals getting together to look at the business of the association, try to make the best decisions that they can based on the information they have, and then leave it at that. Some decisions that are made, everybody's not going to agree on. That's not a reason to get upset or mad. It just means that you lost on that particular vote if you were on the losing side. It doesn't mean you have to be a cheerleader for that, but it also means you don't go out and badmouth the decision made for whatever the reasons are that you thought it should have been made in your favor. Temperament has a lot to do with the tone of the board. If you don't have the right temperament, you're just going to frustrate yourself and you're going to frustrate everybody else on the board. You need to be able to smile. You need to be able to get along. You need to be able to just have a little bit of camaraderie going on. As I said, even when you disagree. But as one of the folks up here had said earlier, politics of all things should be left at the door, period. That's not what the board meetings are about. That's not what being a board member is about. It's about taking care of the business of the corporation. And that's what RHOA is. I think that's it.
Thank you. Now we come back to budget. When thinking about adding new amenities to the ranch, what budgetary considerations do you or should you factor into making a decision to move forward? Mr. Nunnally, your 2 minutes, please be specific.
Okay, I realize that the budget is oftentimes very, very strict. But also often, I think we should also look at the budget and see and things that we can look at reducing in that could save the budget money. In such cases as solar panels where we have high electricity bills, where we have high telephone bills, where we might look at voice internet protocol telephones, which would be internet telephones. That would also reduce a lot of the phone bills on there. And things like that, that would actually put money back into the budget to give us an opportunity to add new things that maybe some of the suggestions that homeowners might want to see. These are things that would give us extra money that we can put back into the budget to possibly make happen. And if we look at it as a way to make it the budget more workable, we can make add the amenities, if possible, for the homeowners, especially when a lot of them have made suggestions. And these would be the things that we should be working for, because after all, we are working for the membership, and we represent the membership. Thank you.
Thank you. Now for our next question, we will come back to transparency. Director Goller, I hear this a lot. We need transparency. As an incumbent, how do you feel about this statement, and what specific actions do you or does the board employ to provide transparency? Your 2 minutes, please.
Thank you, Director Lopez. That's a great question because I heard that statement over and over and over, being an involved homeowner as I've been. And the people who are asking for transparency, if they only realized what transparency truly is and where they can get it from, I think things would be a lot smoother for a lot of people. Transparency is when you sit in these open forum meetings and you pay attention. You're hearing how decisions are made. That's part of being transparent. You can go onto our website. You can go onto our official Facebook page. You see things that are informative. So I don't know what transparency could be different. At open forum, questions are asked during that period. It's by state law that we don't answer any questions that are not part of the agenda for that meeting. If somebody asks a question and it happens to be on the agenda for that evening's meeting, then they can be answered. But other than that, they can't be. However, certain questions can be answered in the roundup. And they have been many, many times. If people read their emails, the updates that come from the office, There is a lot of transparency and a lot of information, and I really don't get why people think that there's not transparency. It's there. They just need to look for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, coming back to commitment, being an active member of the board of directors is time consuming. As an indicator of your level of commitment, Mr. Purity, as a new candidate, please describe how many times per week you are involved in HOA affairs. This can include such things as reporting landscape issues, picking up or reporting of trash, attendance at HOA meetings and events, etc. Your 2 minutes, please.
Well, I have plenty of time. I can probably 5 days a week would be my commitment to the board. I only work 2 days part-time, like 4 to 5 hours each day. So I have plenty of time to dedicate it to the HOA on the board. And I have no problem doing whatever comes up. So I have plenty enough time to drop everything late at night, early in the morning, do whatever, meet all the meetings and be there and be a director. So I'm available. Thank you.
Thank you. We return to the question of liability. The board has talked about liability and how the board of directors must protect the association. What types of liabilities are they talking about? How and why is it important to me as a homeowner? Director Riddick, your 2 minutes, please.
Thank you, Angel. So liability means putting the corporation in harm's way and protecting it from any damage because of that harm. And that means that every time that we consider doing an event, for instance, we have to consider things like who's going to be coming, what is the liability risk, how is it going to impact our insurance, what are the dangers involved, little things that most homeowners will probably not even think about. When we have events, they show up, we have a good time, but God help us if we have a child falls or slip and hurt because they were involved in that particular event. That's where liability comes in. And that's where it's our responsibility as board members to make sure that when we plan that event, we made sure that we were protected. Insurance was in place, that we have the event insurance that's required for daytime insurance to take place in case there was something unforeseen happening. Do we make sure that we took care of all the safeguards to make sure that we, again, protected the corporation? The reason it's so important is because that liability affects our insurance, as one of our other panelists had mentioned. Our insurance right now, we almost did not get written. We almost did not get written for it because of our claims history. If that had happened, that would have put the burden on every single homeowner here to pick up the cost of every single claim in the future that occurred here. That means we would have all had to share equally every time somebody sued us. That's not good management and not good protection of the corporation. And that's why liability is such a consideration. We've really just got to make sure when we consider doing anything, that we consider all of the liability risks involved in making sure that we've got the insurance to cover that liability. I think that's it.
Thank you. We return to temperament. It seems that all the candidates have strong viewpoints about how things should work. In my opinion, partisan politics should be left out of operating our HOA. If elected, Mr. Nunnally, how will you work together to get things while dialing down the drama and not just fight all the time? Your 2 minutes, please.
Thank you. First of all, I want to express what Mr. Purity and Mr. Riddick has already mentioned. Partisan politics has no place within the board. However, viewpoints we want to hear the viewpoint of each person, whether we agree with them or not. We want to hear each person's viewpoint, and then come to a consensus regarding the viewpoint of each person. Now, each person should have an opportunity to express their viewpoint as to how they feel about a certain topic, and without having any prejudicial remarks or biased remarks or anything against it, or hard feelings behind that. In doing so, each person gets an idea and of how each person feels about a certain topic. By equal discussion between all board members, they can come to a consensus and then push the project forward and come to a vote on which everybody can vote either towards that, towards whatever that project or against it. But at the end of the day, everybody feels good about how they voted. Thanks.
Thank you. We come back to the question of budget. When thinking about adding new amenities to the ranch, what budgetary considerations do you or should you factor into making a decision to move forward? Director Escobar, in 2 minutes, please be specific.
When it comes to budget, first thing we have to look at is how much we do have there. What do we need to do? We start with that. Then we look at what we need to improve based on our reserve study. From that, we know that we have to move forward with certain things. As far as adding new amenities, we have been adding new amenities. In case people don't know, we've added pickleball, which is great. And we've got 4 courts for that now. So we have added new amenities, but we have to be careful when we're doing it because depending on what amenity it may be a capital improvement. If in fact it becomes a capital improvement, we have to put that out for a vote. That means we have to send ballots out. We have to spend a lot of money to get homeowner approval so that we can do this. So there's a lot of things we have to take into consideration when we're looking at our budget and looking at what we want to do with the amenities. We have a lot here already. People don't always use them. I'm here at the lake almost every day. Not everybody's here fishing. Not everybody's playing tennis. Not everybody's doing what we have available. So, homeowners, you're welcome to come down and partake in some of this stuff. We have tennis courts. We have, I've never seen anybody playing horseshoes. We have horseshoes out there. We have a lot of things. We have sand basketball out there. I don't see basketball, volleyball. I don't see a lot of people out there. Come down and use these things. Why don't we use what we've got out there? And before we start asking for more stuff, we have them out there, let's use them. That's it.
Thank you. Now, for the next question, we will turn to Director Goller on temperament. It seems that all the candidates have strong viewpoints about how things should work. In my opinion, partisan politics should be left out of operating our HOA. If re-elected, how will you work together to get things done while dialing down the drama and not just fight all the time? Your 2 minutes, please.
Thank you. First of all, partisan politics should have no part whatsoever in running this HOA. I don't know or care what other political parties people belong to. They shouldn't affect us here. So that's all I'm going to say about that. But in terms of temperament, I think people need to come from a background that where it was mandatory that they know how to conduct themselves professionally. I've had many jobs in different businesses throughout my 30 plus years of working, and it was critically important for people if you're in some level of management to go into meetings and be professional, keep your cool, hear other people out. It takes collaboration for a good board to perform and to communicate and make a decision. It's 3 votes win over 2. So you just have to accept that and don't go out afterwards and badmouth the decisions that were made. One of the things is you have to be a pragmatic person. You need common sense. And sometimes everybody just doesn't have that, and it's unfortunate. And temperament's extremely important in that we have to know how to communicate properly without being offensive, without being angry, and just knowing how to get along. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we return to the question of liability. The board has talked about liability and how the board of directors must protect the association. What types of liability are they talking about? How and why is it important to me as a homeowner? Mr. Purity, your 2 minutes, please.
Well, liability comes in many forms, from slip and fall to, it could be something in the ranch, maybe a part of a tree that fell on their car. It could be a lot of different things. And it has to be looked into to protect the homeowner, or a lot of different things. I'm not really, well, since being new to the board here, there's things that I'm going to have to look into and educate myself on that. But like I say, liability covers a lot of different things that can happen. So we have to look into things to not put us in a position to be liable to anybody, so our rates don't go up on our insurance. There's things that we, walk around the ranch, drive around the ranch and see if there's things that would harm somebody, and make sure that we're covered that way and don't get our rates increased and don't get somebody hurt. So that's all I have to say on that.
Thank you. Now, for the next question, we return to transparency. I hear this a lot. We need transparency. As an incumbent, Director Riddick, how do you feel about this statement, and what specific actions does the board employ to provide transparency? Your 2 minutes, please.
Thank you, Angel. I think that Director Goller answered it, part of my answer that I had planned, and I'll still use it. I'm having a difficult time understanding why people are claiming that there is no transparency. I really am. This board and every board that I've served on has held monthly meetings, except for during the COVID period, which only lasted until we could actually start using Zoom meetings. But this board and every board I've served on in the past has always had open meetings. It's part of the law. In those open meetings, we discuss every single item on the agenda. Homeowners have an opportunity to participate during the open forum portion of it. They can ask questions. We have a tradition and a history of responding to those questions the following month, either through the newsletter or through membership messages. So I'm having a hard time really understanding what the transparency issue is, other than the transparency is there. It's required. It's always been there. And I have yet to hear anybody explain to me where it's missing. I just don't get it. But I will add that if there is anything we can do to improve the transparency, maybe we could do a little bit better job on how we communicate in between the membership messages and the newsletter and the board meetings, and that we can look at doing. I don't think there's a problem with that. We've got technology now we can tap into. We've got a YouTube channel we can utilize a little bit more effectively. But again, bottom line, I just don't get it where people are saying there's no transparency here. The law requires it, and it's always been there. I think the difficulty is that some folks just don't want to see it, or they don't want to participate in it, and they just figure, well, I don't know what they're doing. Well, if you show up, and I hate to say it like that, but if you show up, you get involved, you will find out exactly what's going on here. You'll find out what the problems are. You'll find out what the challenges are. You'll find out how we're doing things. And you also might find out there's an opportunity for you to be a problem solver along with us by joining with us. That doesn't happen. So I'm stuck on trying to figure out where's the lack of transparency. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we come back to the question of commitment. Being an active member of the board of directors is time consuming. As an indicator of your level of commitment, Mr. Nunnally, as a new candidate, please describe how many times per week you are involved in HOA affairs. This can include such things as reporting landscape issues, picking up or reporting of trash, attendance at HOA meetings and events, etc. Your 2 minutes, please.
As a new candidate, I realize that it is very important to be very committed within the association. I do keep track of things through the roundup, through information that I've gathered. I have to be honest, a lot of the HOA meetings I have not appeared because of other prior commitments outside. I do a lot of volunteer work. I've also do other things that have taken a lot of my time. But as a board member, I would reduce some of that and be more committed to the HOA, more committed to the association, more important to the membership. And I would leave myself open I always leave myself open for the membership to approach me on anything that they may have issues on that they may want me to bring to the board. And that's my commitment to the association as far as commitment. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, for the next question, we return to temperament. It seems that all of the candidates have strong viewpoints about how things should work. In my opinion, partisan politics should be left out of operating our HOA. If re-elected, how will you work together to get things done while dialing down the drama and not just fight all the time? Director Escobar, your 2 minutes, please.
Thank you. Politics have no place with people on this board. Number one, we need to all work together united. We're 5 people that represent 2,677 homes out there. And we need to do the best we can. And that's what we're all about. The 5 of us at this point sit here and are committed to getting things done for the homeowners. We have yes votes, we have no votes. We don't always see eye to eye, but we come in, we have something to say, we present our position on it, and then we open our minds up to listen to what the other members have to say. We sometimes vote yes together as 5, or sometimes we're 3 and 2. But it just depends on how we see things and what we feel is best for the homeowner. But we are able to voice our opinion, vote our proper way that we feel is proper. But at the end of the day, we come out and we're all as one. And that's the way we want to be. We're a 5 board member acting as united as one. And that's what we want to present to our community and do for our community. And we would like to keep it that way. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we come back to the question of budget. When thinking about adding new amenities to the ranch, what budgetary considerations do you or should you factor into making a decision to move forward? Director Goller, your 2 minutes, please be specific.
We had this question last time and I kind of was caught off guard, and my response was that adding amenities right now, it's just not going to happen because the money's not there. So I stick with that. And in fact, just some feedback I got from how I answered that question by a homeowner. Your answer was right on, because there's not a big pile of money. The budget was devised or made in such a way that expenses were cut down from previous years. Other times they had to be increased because we know our costs were going to increase. So it's a balanced budget. It took a lot of work. And there's just adding new amenities. It's not going to come out of reserves. That's not what reserves is for. So we're going to have to wait for some of those. And that's one of the other directors has answered. And I believe it was Director Escobar. We have lots of amenities that aren't being utilized by many homeowners. They're there and just saying, oh, this would be nice, that would be great. There's no guarantee that those would be used any more than what our existing amenities are. I kind of make decisions based on ROI. How many return on investment? How many people is an investment going to benefit? And in an organization like an HOA, that's extremely important. Are we going to do that for 10 people to come and use it when it costs thousands or lots of thousands of dollars? So no, we can't make decisions like that. We have to make the best decisions that will serve the most number of homeowners that live here, because we're all paying for it. Thank you.
Thank you. And we return to the question of liability. The board has talked about liability and how the board of directors must protect the association. What types of liability are they talking about? How and why is it important to me as a homeowner? Mr. Nunnally, your 2 minutes, please.
Okay, first of all, liabilities, first and foremost, are expenses. And there are two types of expenses. There are planned expenses, which is budgeted within the annual budget. And then there's liabilities, which several board members have mentioned in regards to insurance and bonds and protection of the association. Now, those in protection of the associations, those are also planned too, and in the budget itself, so that we can, as best as possible, plan for any eventualities. Now, understand, not all eventualities can be planned for, and sometimes those things do happen. Legal options, we can't plan for those. I mean, the board can't plan for those, but somehow, I'm sure within the budget, they do have in their, built in their legal expense, have a plan should that eventuality come forward. Now, understanding if those expenses exceed what was planned, yes, it will make a problem with the budget itself. And that way, there should be some kind of checks and balances built in to where we can plan for such unplanned expenses inside the budget. Now, I understand they may have already done that. I don't know. I'm not on the board. I have never been part of the budget making process, but it would seem to me that there would be some kind of.
Thank you. We return to the question of commitment. Being an active member of the board of directors is time consuming. As an indicator of your level of commitment, as an incumbent, Director Riddick, in 2 minutes, please describe how many times per week you conduct board business. This can include such things as meetings, special projects, training, etc.
Thank you, Angel. Wow. Today's Wednesday. I was doing board business Monday, Tuesday, today, this past weekend, the prior Friday, the prior Thursday. So like Pat, this is a business that I'm beholden to because of my position on the board, representing the 2,677 homeowners here. That requires me to get involved pretty much every single day. It's not all day, it's not many hours, but I will get a call, I will get a text, I will get an email, I will get some correspondence about some issue dealing with the HOA, whether it's internal or whether it's outside of the HOA. That will take my time. It's just what I signed up for. It's what every single board member here should be signing up for, because this is not something to do in your leisure. It's not a hobby. It's serious business. It's a $5,000, a $5 million corporation. We're officers of that corporation. It's our fiduciary responsibility to make sure that when we hit bumps in the road, when we have a hiccup that has to do with the HOA, that we're prepared to respond. This is not where you can say, oh, I'll deal with it tomorrow, or I'll deal with it next week. Something happens, you got to deal with it then. If you can't do it yourself, you call on your fellow board members and you collaborate on trying to figure out a solution. And we all understand that. That's just the nature of the business, and that's what we do here. So my commitment would be total, complete. I'm fortunate in being retired, so I have a lot of time on my hands. I share that with other organizations as well. My commitment to them is just the same, and that would be it would not change. My past commitment, most of you know me. I've served in every single position in this organization since I joined it, and I did it unhesitatingly, and I did it with full understanding that it came with the job. And anytime I could step back and say, I'm not going to do that, but that's not my personality. So thank you.
Thank you. We come back to the question of budget. When thinking about adding new amenities to the ranch, what budgetary considerations do you or should you factor into making a decision to move forward? Mr. Purity, your 2 minutes, please, and be specific.
Well, as far as the budget, we need to go line by line and see what we can reduce out of the budget. That's where your money can come at and for amenities. We have to go line by line and really go through the budget and see what we can cut out of each item. Like I mentioned before, as far as the phone bill, the phone bill is outrageous. Why they spend month after month a huge phone bill. I don't understand that. Which to me, that's one thing I would look into right away. The other items, like I said, we just have to go through those. And as far as I know, they've been the same year after year. We need to check those items and see what we can cut and put that money elsewhere for amenities. When I get on the board, I would like to go through it right away and see what we can save and go from there. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we've reached our last question for transparency. I hear this a lot. We need transparency. As an incumbent, Director Escobar, how do you feel about this statement? And what specific actions does the board employ to provide transparency? Your 2 minutes, please.
I've been waiting for this question. I'm like the other board members. People say we're not transparent, and I don't believe that. Before I became a board member, I was able to approach Renee Osborne and ask her questions, and she gave me answers. I had a meeting with Robert Reddick. This is all before I became a board member. And I asked questions and got answers. I talked with George Gallegos. They were all board members at the time, and they all greeted me, spoke with me, talked with me, explained to me. I don't understand where there's no transparency. We sit here, we have one open forum a month in which all homeowners are invited to. We talk about things. You call the office will give you answers. You call the manager, she'll spend the time with you. Send an email, you will get an answer. We have the roundup. We have information in the roundup. We have e-blasts that come out to the homeowners twice a month, giving you information. We have, as board members, we have our email address in the roundup. Contact us. I've had 3 or 4 homeowners contact me, and I immediately answered them and told them what I was going to do about their question. And I did get back to them within a day or two. And I'm sure I can't speak for the other board members, but the ones that I've dealt with prior to being on the board have gotten back with me. So I don't understand where there's no transparency. Everything is in black and white. It's in our books. We have our minutes. You're welcome to read them. They're on. Thank you.
Thank you. And this concludes our Q&A session. I would like to thank all the candidates on this panel here tonight, seated before you. And for those of you watching at home, thank you for answering these questions. Now, the exciting part is we're not done yet. We're just getting started. So allow me to proceed to the next portion of tonight's candidate forum. We have what's called an extra question. It is a post-election question plus 3 lightning questions. Ooh.
So Angel, we can ask questions until I anticipate 7:15, and then we'll go into closing statements and wrap it up, okay?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Will do. Well, let us begin. So for the first lightning question, Director Riddick, in 1 to 2 sentences, please name the Sunnymead Ranch event that you most enjoy and why.
I'd have to say it's the brunch the brunches we used to do. I thought they were well attended. I thought everybody who attended had a great time. I thought it was a very unique event that we held here at the lake. I don't think any other HOAs in the area pull off an event like that. And whenever we did it professionally. We did it with cool, suave, bon vivant. It was enjoyed by everybody who was there. That was probably my one event I enjoyed. The one that I did not enjoy was probably, I can't tell you because I enjoyed them all. So that's it. Sorry.
Thank you. The next lightning question, Mr. Nunnally, if your family were to describe you in 1 to 2 sentences, would they say your personality lean toward A, a glass half full, or A, glass half empty? Please proceed.
My family would consider me glass half full because I'm an eternal optimist. I always look to the positivity of things, and I look for challenges to towards improvement, whatever they may be. And that's always how I've always lived my life. I've never been one to kind of look back on my failures or things that I didn't accomplish. I always look forward to the next challenge and how can I accomplish it.
Thank you. Now for the next question, this is post-election. All candidates would like to be elected. Hypothetically, if you were not to be elected, briefly explain your future involvement in the HOA. Director Escobar, please.
Okay, if I am not reelected, which I hope that doesn't happen, but if not, I would put in my application to return to the Architectural Committee because I loved that committee. We had so many things to go on. I learned so much about what we have to do for our homes and what we need to ask permission for, or not really permission, just to present it to the committee and let them know, hey, we're going to do this, and the committee's going to say, yeah, it looks pretty good, go ahead. I also want to join the Activities Committee. I have never been on the Activities Committee, but I volunteered as an outsider to come and help. I enjoyed that. The Veterans Committee is dear to me. So I just know that I'm going to be down here just as much as I am now if I'm not elected, because there's committees, there's lovely people here to work with, everyone here that I've worked with on all these various committees.
Thank you. Now for the next question, this is a lightning question. Mr. Purity, in 1 to 2 sentences, how many times per month do you currently come to the Lake Club facilities, whether for business or pleasure?
During the summer, I'm here every day in the pool. I enjoy that quite a bit. Now that they've reopened this place, since we don't have COVID, you know, I'll be here at the open forums and enjoy that. And I plan on being a director though, so that'll consume my time. But I do enjoy the pool once they heat it, start in May, and need that for my exercise. So that's about it.
Thank you. Our next lightning question, Director Goller, in 1 to 2 sentences, please name the Sunnymead Ranch event that you most enjoy and why.
That's a very difficult question because over the years I've enjoyed many of them. As Director Riddick mentioned, the Sunday brunch was also a favorite of mine. On the activities committee for 2018 and 2019, before we had to shut down for COVID. I was able to help organize that event, and it is a wonderful one. But I've enjoyed just about every event that I've attended here. I enjoyed bringing my children to the Easter events, the Christmas events, New Year's Eve. I've been attending for quite a few years, so really just about everything. So I love it here. Thank you.
Thank you. We are going to pause for a moment.
We're taking a technical break. Let's see. I'm
Okay.
not sure why.
Thank you everyone for holding while we work through a technical difficulty, but we are back. Okay, so we are continuing our lightning round. And so for the next question, we will come back to Director Goller. In 1 to 2 sentences, if your family were to describe you, how would they say your personality lean toward A, glass half full, or A, glass half empty?
With the age of my children, they're all grown, 30, one just in their 30s or one just turned 40. So it really would depend on when they're asked that question because that runs the gamut. But as adults, they still turn to mom for advice on things. And if I was a glass half empty, I don't think they would come to mom and ask those questions and want advice and mom's opinion. So I think they're going to say I'm a half full or maybe more than half full. So I'll leave it at that. I'm half full or more. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we come back to post-election. All candidates would like to be elected. Hypothetically, if you were not to be elected, Mr. Purity, briefly, please explain your future involvement in the HOA.
I would like to get back on the architectural committee. When I was on it, we had a good old time, and it was great to learn more about what the ranchers wanted in the back of their yards. On the construction side, I worked in construction for over 25 years. And it was interesting to see what type of materials and what they were using. And, as we went along, the cost of everything for materials was going sky high. And it was a great challenge to work with the people I worked with. And I learned a lot. That's probably where I'd go, be on the architectural committee. I loved it. It was really a nice part of working in the ranch there.
Thank you. We come back to a lightning question in 1 to 2 sentences. Director Escobar, how many times per month do you currently come to the Lake Club facilities, whether for business or pleasure?
Daily. I'm here every day. So, and it's always business and pleasure because it's a pleasure to see all the wonderful people here. And we have a great staff, a wonderful manager, and I peek in and see the yoga ladies laying on the floor there. And it's like, I really enjoy it. I'm here every day. I'm here no matter, it may be early, it may be late. The only place I don't always check in is the gym. And obviously, if you look at me, you know why. But other than that, I will be here and I am here every day. I have out there. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Our next lightning question, Mr. Nunnally, in 1 to 2 sentences, please name the Sunnymead Ranch event that you enjoy most and why.
The one that I enjoyed most is one that they had some time back. They had a honoring the veterans, a veteran breakfast, I believe it was, in which there was a salute to the veterans. And I really enjoyed it because I got a chance to see all the veterans here, shake hands, kind of giving back, honoring them and thanking them for their service and their commitments. Myself being a veteran, also, I was very pleased and honored that the Homeowner Association thought of us in that manner. Thank you.
Thank you. We come back to a lightning question. In 1 to 2 sentences, Director Riddick, if your family were to describe you, would they say your personality lean toward A, glass half full, or A, glass half empty?
Oh, that's pretty easy. It's a glass half full, and it's always been that way. Like candidate Nunnally said, I too share that same disposition. I'm an eternal optimist. I'm always sometimes being criticized for being too optimistic about things, but that's just my nature. I refuse to look at the negativity in anything. it's just not worth me spending energy on anything that's not going to be positive. So yeah, my glass is half full. And as I continue to drink it, I'll make sure that it's refilled and remains at half full. Thank you.
Thank you. Post-election, all candidates would like to be elected. Hypothetically, if you were not to be elected, Mr. Nunnally, briefly, please explain your future involvement in the HOA.
If I'm not elected, one of the things I would still continue to do is continue to be, as much as I can, a voice for the membership. And for those who have questions, have issues that may have in their heart a fear of retaliation, be that person who bring those issues to the board for answers, and let the board know the feeling, because oftentimes we do have people out there that feel that their voice is not going to be heard, or anything that they may think about is, or ask about, or suggestions that they may have. They feel that, well, even if I do it, it may not even get heard, or I feel that if I say anything, I may get retaliated. I plan on being that voice that bring those forward to the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next lightning question, in 1 to 2 sentences, Director Goller, how many times per month do you currently come to the Lake Club facilities, whether for business or pleasure?
Well, I'm definitely here twice a week, every month for yoga. And being a director currently, I'm here for board meetings, in some cases it's Zoom, but I foresee myself being down here a lot more, just as I do if I'm reelected, being more involved in talking with the executive director, or the I'm sorry, the GM here, and I'm constantly learning. I've learned a lot just by talking to GMs and the board members for many years. And so I'm going to be around a lot more, and I'm waiting for that pickleball court to actually be striped. I think that's going to happen in March. So I hope to be playing some pickleball, but I will always be here. I will continue to attend all HOA events,
Thank you.
etc. So again,
Thank
this
you.
is my home.
Thank you for that,
Thank
Director Goller. Angel, I think we have about 2 more lightning rounds, and then we're going to move into closing statements.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Purity, lightning question for you. In 1 to 2 sentences, please name the Sunnymead Ranch event that you most enjoy and why.
Well, I haven't really went to any of the events, like the New Year's Eve thing, because I don't drink alcohol. So I'd be a fish out of water on that. Camp night, is a good one. So I don't have, my grandkids wouldn't want to come over here. They're just shy, and they wouldn't come over. They don't come over here to use the pool. They have their own pool. So, I don't go to the events, and like I said, I don't drink, so I don't do the New Year's thing. That's just the way it is. So I don't go to the other ones either.
Thank you. Next lightning question, Director Escobar, in 1 to 2 sentences, if your family were to describe you, would they say your personality lean toward A, glass half full, or A, glass half empty?
I have a 24-ounce glass, and it's 12 ounces full. And it has room for another 12 ounces. And as soon as those are taken, I will make sure it empties out again so I can fill it some more. So I'm a very optimistic person. I like to have fun. I like to see the positive. Give me a negative situation and I will find the positive in that negative situation, because for every positive, every negatives, there is a positive. And we have a great bunch of homeowners here that do have great suggestions, and every time they come to me, I reached out to our management and says, what do you think? Let's look into it. Let's see if it's feasible. Everything. I'm very positive. And I hope
Perfect.
to
Thank you.
represent you.
Thank you. For our final lightning question, in 1 to 2 sentences, Director Riddick, how many times per month do you currently come to the Lake Club facilities, whether for business or pleasure?
I come at least once a week, sometimes less than that. I'm here for the for some of the things that happen here, like just walk arounds. I come over to look, see what's going on in the clubhouse. I come over to the office to check in with the office to see if there's anything new. I'm over here pretty often. And there are other places I could be going, but I choose to come over here because this is right in my backyard. I'm 5 minutes away from here. It's a real easy drive. Sometimes I come over here and just chill, sit at one of the chairs here, go online and do things between going somewhere else. It's just kind of like a way station, a stopover for me. But I'm over here quite a bit.
Thank you. And this concludes our lightning round. And we would like to thank all the candidates for their brief answers. And I return it back to Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Director Lopez. I think we should, so I do have just a couple of little housekeeping things afterwards, and we're at 7:16. So I think we have enough, we have 10 minutes to do 2-minute closings. So why don't we go ahead and move with that, and then I'll do the housekeeping after that.
Thank you. For the first closing statement, we will turn to Director Escobar.
My statement is thank you, homeowners, for being here. We appreciate you. We appreciate the fact that you gave of your time to come and listen to us. I hope to gain your vote and stay on as a board member. But if I don't, I will be still here. You will see me around. And thank you to the homeowners that are on Zoom, that are listening in. And I hope everyone here and everybody on Zoom has already voted. So we have enough votes the first time around where we can save some money and not have to do a second one. Thank you.
Thank you. The next 2-minute closing statement will be Director Goller.
Oh, thank you, homeowners, for coming in on Zoom and being here tonight. I hope the way I've answered questions gives you the confidence in my ability to continue as a director for our HOA. If I'm not elected, I will still be here. I will be continuing to attend open meetings open session meetings, and just being here, enjoying this place that I do call home. But I'm really hoping that you do have the confidence to vote for my return or to stay on this board. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next 2-minute closing statement, Mr. Nunnally.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank the homeowners that have already cast their votes. I want to thank the people who are present in the gallery that's here for the forum, and also for the people that's on Zoom that is watching us. Your time is precious to you, and we value your time for joining us during this very auspicious occasion. I will be new to the board, and I will be here in service to the association. I will be working towards a workable budget, both for the budget, but for the board and for the association, that anything and everything that can be done to make the budget more workable, I will be working towards that. And anything that can't be done, I want to make sure that it is transparent in terms of everything that we can do, whether it's through email blasts, through Roundup, through social media, whatever, to let you know what is going on. That is my commitment to you. I have an open door policy to where you can come and talk to me at any time. Bring up any kind of suggestions on there, I will bring it to the board. I will be your voice to the board if elected. I will be working to bring back some of the activities that we had in the past are no longer available, if the budget allows. If it's not, I will be transparent enough to let you know it's not going to be allowed and why. And that's my commitment to you. Thank you.
Thank you. The next 2-minute closing statement, Mr. Purity.
I wanted to correct something about these events that I didn't go to. My last job, I worked 70 to 80 hours a week. I didn't have time to do anything. That's what my work required. And when you work that many hours every week, you don't have time, nothing but just go to bed and go back and work. So that was a big part of my life until I retired. And also too, like I said, I've lived in the ranch 25 years, 37 years in Moreno Valley. I wish they'd stock the lake. People are talking about that. It's been 2 years, no fish. And I believe that all directors need a background check. That both of these last jobs that I had a complete background check. One was a part-time job, the other one was full-time. Everybody needs a background check. I don't care. When you're handling money like this, you have to have a background check. Seabreeze, I guess they don't care. They don't do background checks. It's amazing. You handle all this money with vendors and everything, no background checks. Anybody can come in here and work and have the worst credit, financials, or anything. They don't care. It's amazing. It's amazing. And also too, that I've talked to ranchers, and they say this 1,000% increase on fines is way too much. It was $25, now it's $250. That's wrong. That's just totally wrong. It wasn't even discussed. Let's just do it. We're not going to tell the ranchers. And then we raised our monthly dues. They didn't say nothing. Same old thing. We're hurting. Everybody in this room is hurting. $337 for my gas
Time.
bill now I got
Time,
today.
Mr. Curity, thank you. And now for our final 2-minute closing statement, Director Riddick.
Thank you, Angel. So this is the part of the forum where each of us asks for you to vote for us individually. I'm not going to do that tonight. I trust that everyone who knows me and knows my record of serving on this board knows whether to vote for me or not. So I'll leave that in your hands. What I will say is this, though. I would hope that you would vote for all three of the incumbents who are currently serving, because right now they have proven over the past 2 years, with the exception of our newest member, and even during her time, that we're on a steady path to coming back and making Sunnymead Ranch the most viable community to live in. Why in the world would we want to disrupt that progress now? We're on a steady path. We're financially sound. We've got a balanced budget. We were able to retain the assessments at a minimal increased level. We're doing all the right things. We've bought back activities back. We've added, as Director Escobar indicated, a new amenity. The transparency issue that we keep hearing about is non-existent, except for those who just don't have the will or the wherewithal to ask the right questions at the right time to the right people. So I can't be sympathetic to them. They know how to do that. All of the other issues that have been brought up, background checks, that's illegal. So whoever's pushing for that, forget it. The state's not going to allow it. It's a silly red flag. Otherwise, I would just say, as I said, this board has done tremendously well coming out of COVID-19. We're on a steady path to recovery in a great way. It doesn't make any sense at all to change the players that are here right now. We're working well. We've got a great team. We've got the camaraderie there. You've heard it in each one of the candidates you've heard speak tonight and prior. Again, why in the world would you want to change good progress? These folks that are sitting on the board right now, all 5 of us have learned to work together. We've learned how to manage this association. I commend those who would want to step and run up and run. I absolutely commend both of them.
Time, Director Riddick.
Thank you.
Thank you. And this concludes our 2-minute closing statement from all the candidates. We thank all the candidates for the closing statements, and we return this forum back to Madam Chair.
All right, thank you so much, Director Lopez. This was a great forum today, but I want to cover a couple of the election details before we close. So you should have received your ballots. They went out approximately January 16th, no later than January 16th. The ballot package contains the instructions on how to cast your vote and how to return it. So please read the instructions. The ballot contains 3 ballot items: the director vacancies. So we are electing 3 seats are up for election. The candidates receiving the 3 highest number of votes will each get a 2-year term. In addition, on the ballot, there is an IRS ruling, and there's an explanation of what that means, as well as the 2022 annual minutes that need to be approved. Also, as part of the ballot package are candidate statements. Each candidate was afforded the opportunity to advocate a point of view in a 150-word statement. Those are enclosed, as well as, so for those homeowners, there is a postage paid envelope in the package. So no money, you don't have to search for stamps or anything. Now, you may mail your ballots. If so, they need to be received by the address on the envelope no later than February 15th at 5 p.m. By the way, you must, absolutely must, sign legibly, as well as put your address on the outside of the envelope. If that is not on there, they will set your ballot aside and it will not be valid. So we also, on February 16th, which is the election, which will be held here in the Lake Club at 6 p.m., the polls will be open from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. So if you lost your ballot or you want to hand carry it to the Inspector of Elections, you can do that between 5 and 6 p.m. on February 16th only. If you didn't receive a ballot, or you lost it, or your dog ate it, or whatever, they will give you the contact information for our Inspector of Elections. Please don't bother to ask questions of our gals here in the office, because they're allowed to answer questions regarding the ballots. That's the Inspector of Elections. I'm going to look at my time here, because we want to be mindful of our time for you. Our quorum for the first meeting is 670 ballots, which is 25% of our membership. And to Director Escobar's point, we want to get out the vote and get 670 ballots, not votes, ballots, so envelopes. Because if we don't, then we will adjourn the meeting to another date and it will cost us more money. So I think that's all my housekeeping details. I do want to thank the candidates for taking the time to participate in this process, as well as just stepping up. I mean, that is no small task, and I can attest to that. I also want to thank our homeowners online as well as here. Don't forget to return your ballot. Talk to your neighbors, tell them to get out the vote as well. If you have any questions, election related, you're going to direct those to Accurate Voting. If you just have regular old questions or comments, feel free to contact our general manager, who's now off camera, Evelyn Cabrera. She's our general manager. You can contact her at gm@oursunnymeadranch.com. And we are now at 7:28. Angel, we are right on time.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, so we will go ahead and call it for the evening. Thank you so much. All right, yes, thank you to the candidates.